So we've had our heartstrings pulled, but can we also maybe get a story about a success story from Abide Family Center? You're working with all these different families, all these different parents to keep their children out of orphanages. Um, Maybe share, give an example of a family that has come a long way.
Absolutely. So we had one of the mothers. Her name's Fauza. She was one of the first in our program, and so she came to us with about she was 5 or 6. Can I start over? I know she has 5 children. One of them stays with her part time. So So we had Fauza come to Abide, and she was one of the first caregivers. She was a mother who was referred to us by the local government. She was approaching the government office saying, I want to give up my kids to an orphanage. I need support. I need help. And so it was when we had first opened, and instead of sending her to an orphanage, the government official sent her to us. She joined our business class, and she received, after going through a month of business training with our business instructor, she received a certificate in business and then also received a grant for around $120. That's the startup capital. And so with that, there's always a risk. I mean, you're always taking a risk to invest in each family after we do the training with them. So when she started the business, she was able to start selling secondhand clothing. And then her business was so successful, she was so driven that then she saved up enough money to start. She bought a cow, and then she bought goats, and now she has 3 or 4 different income generation and business endeavors that she went from having none of her children in school and going to the government office looking to give them up to now all of her children are in school. She's actually come to us to receive loans to grow her business even further, and she's doing exceptionally well. And so we have so many cases like that. We have an over 75% success rate in the businesses of our families. And so yes, sometimes they fail, but most of the time they succeed. And it's giving them the tools, it's providing the follow-up, and providing that support, walking alongside of them to get them to a place where they're independent and they're on their own. And then you have stories like Fauza where, she was at such a desperate place and now she's doing amazing and is just so proud of herself, and you can just see that when she comes back to visit us. So it's really exciting to see that.
Well, and it's stories like Fausta that validate your belief in the people.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not just there to keep their kids in the family, but Fausta didn't see another route. She didn't have another alternative in mind. Mm-hmm. All she needed was some guidance and a little direction, mm-hmm. and she took off, and she went further than just making clothes, like you're saying. Mm-hmm. She just needed a little push in the right direction, mm-hmm. and these people can make just leaps and bounds.
Right, she's incredibly driven. And that's what we're doing, is we're working with families who want to keep their children, who want to work, we're not forcing it on anyone, we're not forcing work on anyone. We're saying, hey, this is what we provide, this is what we do, mm-hmm. and we need to see your input, we need to see and I think that is, as Sean pointed out, that's a lot of times what we get wrong here in the U.S. And as a social worker that received my education here in the U.S., in rolling out our program and doing what we're doing with Abide, so many people have said to me, we need an Abide in America. We almost need to kind of, take some steps back and start addressing poverty, start addressing low-income families in a more empowering light, not disempowering them and saying, I'm just going to give you, all the resources you need forever, and so you're completely reliant on the government and completely reliant on nonprofits. I believe in you so much that I believe you can do it on your own. Mm-hmm. And I think there's so much power in that. The level of self-esteem, the level of pride that someone gains by doing it on their own, by becoming successful for their family. It's incredible.
Yeah, the new confidence can really go a long way.
Absolutely.
Well,
and you can see that confidence too. I mean, she started one business, mm-hmm. but now she has 3 streams of income for $120. Mm-hmm. I mean, $120. I just had breakfast with a guy who's raising $1.6 million to launch his business. And she was able to launch 3 businesses for $120. I don't know about you. I would much rather be, I'm 120 in. I'll risk $120, right? Yeah. But to risk, 1.6, 1.2, whatever that number is. I know when we started New Savara, we were risking $50,000. It was like $50,000 right up front just to get going, and then a lot of, sweat equity. But again, you're igniting passion in people. What I love about Abide is that their passion for people is infectious. I mean, malaria is infectious, and that's bad, right? But their passion for people is infectious, and that's good because it produces people who are passionate and drive and to take ownership and to they get done at the end of the day and sit there and say, you know, I worked my butt off, but at the end of the day, this happened. My kids are still here, providing for our needs. We got a house, and oh, by the way, we're about to start our third business. $120.
I've even
That was like dinner 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
So if I could take dinner 2 nights ago, throw it down, it's like, man, 3 more businesses, right?
I've even asked Fauza when she comes back to repay her loans if I could start investing in her business because I just see, I mean, she's a businesswoman, and that's so many of the families that have come on board, they are just so driven and they're so creative in the way that they go about. We have families selling secondhand clothing, families selling fish, families selling charcoal, families selling secondhand bags or secondhand shoes, a woman that went through training to become a hairdresser and now just opened up her first hair salon. And so you see, like, they're just innovative, they're creative, they're working with our business instructor, you know, to create an avenue that they're, you know, they're creating their own jobs. Absolutely. And they're bringing in income so they can keep their kids at home. It's exciting. I mean, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. I believe in this so much because I came from a single parent household. I came from a more low income household. So you know, going into this, I always put myself and thought I was one of 4 with a single mom most of my childhood. I thought if we were in Uganda, my mom might have had to consider giving one of us up. So I would really hope that, you know, if we were in Uganda, someone else would have come alongside and created an Abide Family Center so that people like my mother, women, single women, vulnerable women can keep their children because every woman deserves that chance.
Well, and what greater motivation do you need than keeping your kid at home?
Yeah.
And what greater thing to produce than hope in people's lives, right? Kelsey and Megan are investing in people, and they're instilling hope. I mean, yeah, there's the passion and there's the vision and all those other people. But this woman went to the government helpless, went to Abide and became hopeful. And that's when you can give people hope. And hope is the concept that even though today is not a great day, right? Or to use a local colloquialism, today sucks, right? But tomorrow is going to be better. That's hope. Even though I'm in the midst of this now, this is a temporary condition, not a permanent one. That's what hope does. And again, it just amazes me that, like, I want to have these stories. Like, I want to be, like, playing in the background. Like, you go to a company and there's, like, the background music with the elevator stuff. Like, you just want to go to sleep, right? Right? I want to have, like, these stories in the background playing at the office. Because then they motivate me to be more successful so we can help out more. That's the stuff that should drive you. Right? That's the stuff that should drive any company.
Purpose-driven, not profit-driven.
Yes. And again, not knocking profit.
No, not at all.
Because you have to have
you need
profit
to get involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because without profit, you're just going from one paycheck to the other to try and figure out how to keep your lights on, right? Instead of being able to take that money and invest it in Abide and have them turn the light of hope on in someone else's life. That's huge.
And it's the most help that you could provide. A lot of, like you said about the volunteerism, a lot of people want to come over, and actually sometimes it can be beneficial, but most of the time it's more fulfilling for the people going. The most beneficial thing people can do is finding a way to get us the funding and the resources that we need to run. Because we know what we're doing, our staff knows what we're doing, and it's already happening. So, you know, it's great when people want to spend a few $1,000s to come over and visit and see what we're doing, and we do welcome that. But that's not as beneficial as you sitting behind your desk and figuring out how you can do more to get us the funding and the resources we need. That's the most beneficial thing, and that's what Abide needs. That's what NGOs, nonprofits around the world need from businesses, is partnership in that way.
Excellent.